Girl, no. My water broke 5 hours in advance. 3 centimeters, girl, that's it? Are you sure? Y'all are probably like, oh yeah, she's a hippie. 5 centimeters with burgers and fries. Like, I turned into a whole mama bear in there. I was sweating hot. Body was on fire from the inside out. Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, hi, it's your girl Savannah. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, make sure you turn on those post notifications so you're notified and you don't miss out when I post, girl. So today's video, I'm going to be sharing my full and detailed unmedicated birth story with you all. So for my firstborn, when I found out I was pregnant, I immediately knew I was doing a natural birth, and I also immediately knew I wanted a water birth. For me, I was aware of wild birth, which is unassisted birth basically, but I didn't fully trust my body just yet because I hadn't been through the process. I was kind of like, what if and what if and what if, you know, and the what ifs can kind of scare you out of your natural instinct to do things on your own, to do what your body was created to do. So we decided to go with a midwife. At 40 weeks exactly, right on her due date, and I say due date lightly because I don't really think babies have due dates. It's just whenever baby's ready to come, you know. But yeah, she came exactly on her due date. So I was having what they call prodromal labor for 2 days prior to her actually coming. At the time, I didn't necessarily know like what prodromal labor was. That was obviously my first time experiencing it. But it's basically just, it's like false labor, basically. It's false labor contractions. I personally think, you know, it's your body telling you, hey, let's get ready, you know, we're about to do this, and it's preparing your body for those real contractions. So I was in prodromal labor for 2 days, girl. It was not fun, to say the least. I was ready to drink the midwife's brew and be like, okay, girl, let's go. But I'm glad I didn't, because like I said, she came exactly when she was supposed to come. So all night, from those 2 nights going up into her actual due date, I could not sleep. Like, I could not sleep because of the prodromal labor. I was like, okay, like, especially as a first-time mom, you're like, I don't know when this prodromal labor is going to turn into real labor. You know what I'm saying? Going into this next birth, I have some insight, and I will be taking my butt to sleep. Labor is already a hard process. You don't want to be tired, girl. You don't want to be sleepy. So the day of her actual due date, I was pretty much just in and out of sleep. Every hour I was up, I was using the bathroom, I was stretching, I was just like moving my body around because I literally could not sleep. And the labor contractions were the false labor that turned into real labor a little bit later on. Was just, it's kicking me in my butt, girl. It was kicking me in my butt. At probably like 2 o'clock in the morning, I got up and went to the bathroom. Just kind of just walking around trying to ease the labor contractions or whatever. My mucus plug came out, so I called my midwife and I'm like, hello, yeah, just lost my mucus plug, do I need to come in? And my midwife is like, girl, you're a first time mom, don't worry about it, go to sleep, you probably won't be due till like another 2 days. Girl, okay. So I obviously, you know, take her advice and I'm trying to go back to sleep, which could not. Laid back down for a little while. 5 o'clock in the morning, girl, water breaks all over the floor. I jump up out the bed because I was, you know, I was kind of like drifting off in between those contractions. So when my water broke, I felt it break and I jumped up out my sleep and onto the floor, and the water just went everywhere. And I woke my husband up immediately and I'm like, sir, my water just broke. He jumps up and starts packing his hospital bag because men, am I right? I call my midwife back and I'm like, okay, my water just broke. And she's like, okay, well, come on in, make your way up. So we start going to the midwife center. Around this time, I also go ahead and call my mom because they are 2 hours away and didn't want to miss the birth. So The midwife was an hour and 15 minutes away from us. So, girl, my husband was speeding. We now know that was not necessary, but girl, he was speeding. Because here's the thing, I was always told, oh, your water's not going to break, or your water's not going to break till the baby is literally coming. Girl, no. My water broke 5 hours in advance. So just know that's not going to be the case for everybody, but my water happened to break 5 hours in advance. So my husband gives me the Bluetooth, so I'm playing, whatever I want to play, which is, of course, like just soothing music and righteous music, just kind of pumping myself up, getting in the mood, in my zone. So we get there, and I'm like, for sure, like, I'm gonna have this baby. Like, I'm like, I gotta be at least 6 centimeters, girl. Tell me why. My midwife checked me, and I'm 3 centimeters. 3 centimeters, girl? That's it? Are you sure? It wasn't painful, but it was intense. That's how I like to describe it. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, one of the most intense feelings that you'll ever feel as a woman. Once we get there and she checks me, she's like, okay, you have one of two choices. You can do the mile circuit, which is something that a lot of midwives will recommend when they think like your labor is stalling, or when they're trying to like rush the process along. Personally, I don't think it's needed, and looking back, it's probably something that I just would have been like, no thank you. But of course, that comes with when you're paying someone to be over your birth, you think you need to listen to them. And that's also one of the reasons that I will be doing a wild birth unassisted this time around, because I trust my body, I know what I need. And that just was sort of kind of a regret that I had when it came to hiring a midwife. I didn't know my power and authority in my own birth. So she said, mile circuit, or you can lay on the peanut ball. The peanut ball was so uncomfortable. I don't know how y'all do it. Like, it's basically like this literally peanut shaped ball, and you put one leg over it, and it's supposed to help baby descend into the canal. That was so uncomfortable. That was so uncomfortable. Like, it's not even funny. I tried it out for like 5 minutes, and I was like, this is just not it. So I ended up doing the mile circuit. So she had me like go outside and curb walk. She had me come back in and do lunges on the stairs, which was terrible. I was not comfortable doing that at all. Just felt like my body didn't want to be doing that. Like, I wanted to be like swaying or like rocking or like resting, laying down, because your girl was tired. So again, those are things like I regret on my end, not knowing the authority that I have. I could have easily been like, no, this is what my body's telling me to do. This is what I'm going to do. You know what I'm saying? And going into this next birth, I get to decide. You know what I'm saying? So I'll have the freedom that I want to have. Because with midwives, I was like, oh yeah, they've got freedom of movement and we can do what we want to do. And then I kind of got up under that authority and was like, well, now I'm trusting her more than I'm trusting my own body. I think one of the problems with the midwife was that she was rushing along my birth, because when I got there, she was like, if you go past 12 hours, we'll have to rush you to the hospital, yada, yada, yada. That's a whole nother story. Again, buy my book, girl, because I talk about all the things that I wish I would have known going into my first birth. But, yeah, so she kind of seemed like she was rushing my birth along. She didn't believe that this baby was coming as fast as it was. And because of that, there were some issues that arose during this labor process. So around 5 or 6 centimeters, I got in the shower. My midwife offered me, she was like, a lot of women like to get in the shower. So I'm like, okay, cool. So she got me like this stool, and me and my husband sat in the bathroom together, and we ordered, by this time I was hungry, so we ordered Five Guys, and girl, when I tell you I was stuffing my face 5 centimeters with burgers and fries, like I did. That is so funny to me, and it's definitely my most like favorite part of my labor story. Sitting in the shower, my husband was literally handing me fries and feeding me fries as the water is like running down my back, which really helped. The intensity of the contractions slowed down once the water was like hitting my back, and then I would turn around and let it hit my belly. So that was super helpful. By this time that I was in the shower, I could definitely tell, like, okay, energy levels are like drooping. I haven't had sleep in 3 days. So the food was very much needed. It gave me like an extra boost of energy that I needed. As well as coconut water. I was drinking this big can of coconut water. I absolutely love coconut water. I recommend it for anyone going through labor. It's absolutely amazing. It literally helped so much. Keep those energy levels up, keep me going, keep me hydrated. I will have like 2 or 3 cans on hand for this next baby. So I got out the shower and I put my robe on. By this time, I had to be like 7 or 8 centimeters. I don't know, I'm guessing here. But my midwife was like, okay, let's go ahead and put you into the birthing pool. So she runs the water, gets it nice and warm, and they helped me into the birthing pool. It was really nice. The birthing pool was really nice for contractions, I will say. The atmosphere in the room was beautiful. It was low light. It was just peaceful. It was a peaceful environment. By this time, my mom had got there, and she was kind of, giving me encouraging words and, helping me breathe through those contractions. I would kind of like lean on the side of the tub and just kind of like breathe through those contractions while doing like a little bit of a swaying motion. And yeah, the water is super helpful during birth. It really is. So yeah, I sat in there for probably like 2 hours. It felt like, I don't know, at this point, like my track of time obviously probably isn't the best because I was in labor, but it feels like 2 hours, so we're gonna say 2 hours. We're gonna run with that. But yeah, so sat in the tub for like 2 hours, and my body started doing what they call the fetal ejection. So my body started pushing on its own, and I physically could not stop it. Like, there's nothing you can do about it. You're just gonna have to go with the flow, do what your body wants you to do, basically. My body started pushing, and I'm like I turned into a whole mama bear in there. I don't know what happened. I was doing like this grunting out of nowhere when the whole birth had been like that surprised me. I was not expecting that at all. And I couldn't help it. Like, I literally, like, my body was like, push. I couldn't help it. Didn't know what to do. But my midwife came into the room because she still had clients that she was taking care of. Again, we'll get into that into the book. But, yeah, so she was kind of like popping in every once in a while. And in between clients, I guess you could say. And she heard that I was like pushing, or that my body was pushing, and she was like, try not to do that, try to breathe through it. So I'm like, okay, but I don't know what to expect because this, like, I'm not doing this, I'm not trying to. But breathing through them, that fetal ejection thing is no joke, because I don't know how I went from that grunting, pushing, to 2 minutes later, like, my body was like, okay, we're gonna calm down. We're gonna calm down. I don't know what the heck that was, but so yeah, I'm in the water. I had my mother-in-law who was like praying and setting the atmosphere, and my mom. They put like a cold rag on my head, and I was like, get that off of me. One thing that I do remember very vividly is that, like, I was having hot flashes in between contractions, and then I'd get super cold whenever the contraction ended. So, like, I was being very much so bipolar. Like, my husband had to run out to the car because we didn't have a mini fan. If you can, get you a mini fan, girl, because those things come in handy. We didn't have a mini fan, so, like, my husband ran out to the car and just grabbed a work folder, and was like fanning me with the work folder. Because I was hot in those contractions. And then immediately, once the contraction went away, I was like, I'm cold, like, please stop fanning me. it was crazy. Like, I was sweating hot. Body was on fire from the inside out to iceberg. I don't know. So in the birth tub, I ended up like falling asleep in between contractions because it was just so peaceful that I literally just kind of like dropped my head. Like, I didn't even, like, in the moment, I didn't even realize that I was falling asleep, but I was literally falling asleep, 10 centimeters dilated, falling asleep. So in between the contractions, just fall asleep and then wake back up and start breathing through those again. Fall back asleep. Like, I did that for probably like a whole hour, 45 minutes to an hour, before the baby actually came. So the last time that the midwife came into the room, she could tell. She was like, okay, it's time to, push. So she actually instructed me to get on all fours. That was going to be the labor position that I labored in regardless, because I had prepared to labor in that position. But she told me, okay, it's probably time to get on all fours. So I got on all fours, and here comes her head. So her head starts emerging, and my midwife instructed me. She was like, you can reach down there and feel. So I reached down there. I'm like, wow. By this time, I'm like delusional tired. Like, please get some sleep, okay? Please get some sleep before you go into labor. But yeah, I'm so tired. But I reached down. I'm like, wow, that great, amazing. Come on now. So I'm like, this is it. She's like, okay, you're gonna give me a couple more, big breaths and pushes, and baby's gonna be here. So, going through the ring of fire where baby's head is emerging was definitely the most intense pain throughout that, obviously, because it's the biggest part of the baby. But her head comes, and immediately I'm like, whew, big relief, because that was hard. Is basically what was going through my head. And my midwife is like, okay, cool. Next push, the whole baby's gonna be out. So, boom, next push, she does very much so come out all the way. And I'm still on all fours when she comes out, and so she's behind me. I can't even see her, and it's like my body has not landed into the physical yet. Like, I'm still trying to process what I just went through, what just happened. I had not, like, it was like I'm like low-key still in this zone of like spiritual that, like, I almost hadn't even realized that she was here. Like, I'm still on all fours and like processing what was going on, what was happening. I hear everybody like, wow, you did it. My mother-in-law, my mom, they're like, yeah, she's here. Wow, she's so beautiful. But I'm still like shook, like, if that makes sense. I'm still like, just like literally in this spiritual zone. Like, the best way I can explain it is my body had not landed yet. Like, my body had not realized what it had gone through just yet. But that was just my way of processing. And I stayed like that for probably like 45 seconds to a minute. And then finally the midwife was like, come on, mama, hold your baby. And it snapped me out of it. And, I turned around and kind of put her up under my leg because her umbilical cord or whatever was in the way, and looked down at my beautiful baby girl. And that was just an amazing moment for me. She was absolutely perfect, absolutely beautiful. And I was just in love at first sight. So the midwife and her assistant got me out of the tub and put me on the bed. And that was that. It was just, I was in this blissful state after that. Up until 2 days postpartum. But that's the postpartum experience, and I'm not going to get into that in this video. That will all be covered in my book. But we did do delayed cord clamping, and we followed that with skin on skin for my husband. So he cut the cord, and then he got to do some skin on skin while they got me out of the tub. And then we just laid and we did skin on skin for a whole hour postpartum, and it was beautiful. It was a beautiful experience. The actual birth itself, beautiful, amazing, wonderful, but the postpartum experience, because of laboring in the water, was not so well. And that probably sounds odd to a lot of y'all, but there are risks that come with laboring in water. So, of course, everybody do your own research. I don't want to spill the tea because I'm dropping a book about it, but be on the lookout for that. That is everything that I wanted to talk to y'all about in today's video. I really hope you enjoyed my unmedicated birth story. Feel free to ask any questions down in the comments below about my experience, and I'd be happy to answer them. Check out my Instagram because I share a lot of like updates over there. I guess I will talk to y'all in my next YouTube video. Bye.